As we pass through the entrance archway, the lovely scenery bursts upon you. Of the finest view of the lake, of Sir Lancelot Capability Brown, which inspires a feeling of awe, and the magnificent Baroque palace in the distance, of Sir John Vanbrugh's design. Designated by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1987, the palace carries an aura of history and achievement of triumph. When King George III viewed the palace, he exclaimed, "We have nothing equal to this." In 1704, Sir John Churchill, the military commander, led the English troops and their allies to a huge victory over the French and dashed Louis XIV's ambition to rule Europe in the War of the Spanish Succession on the river Danube in Bavaria at Blenheim or Blenheim. The reigning monarch, Queen Anne, conferred the title of the first Duke of Marlborough to John Churchill and gifted the ruined royal manor of Woodstock and £240,000 to build a grand palace in the Glyme Valley in honor of his achievements. The renowned architect Sir John Vanbrugh was appointed to carry out the task, but unfortunately his contract was never completed. This caused problems between the friendship of Lady Sarah Churchill and the Queen. And Marlborough too fell from favour, and treasury payments for buildings stopped. The architect and other workers were not paid, and construction work ceased. The Churchills then decided to complete the palace at their own expense, with Vanbrugh as architect and Nicholas Hawksmoor his assistant. Vanbrugh's aim was to create a palace for a national hero and to celebrate England's newly won supremacy over the French, but the Duke refused to pay crown rates. And craftsmen like Grinling Gibbons, as well as Vanbrugh, left in a rage after intolerable treatment by the Duchess. Later, Hawksmoor was recalled for the triumphal arch to be built, but the palace remains predominantly Vanbrugh's design. The clock tower arch, seen from the inner courtyard, shows the Lion of England and the Cockerel of France by Grinling Gibbons. A 360-degree view of the inner courtyard the Victory Column in the distance, 41 meters high Doric column with a lead statue of the first Duke atop. Italian Baroque elements are conspicuous at Blenheim Palace. The grandiose structure of Sir John Vanbrugh is very evident in the entrance to the Great Hall with its lofty columns, its beautiful pediment with the Duke's emblem, Britannia on the very top with 2 slaves, and triumphal trophies of war on either side of the front portico. The magnificent 20-meter-high Great Hall is one of Blenheim's architectural glories and is particularly outstanding for Sir James Thornhill's painted ceiling, with Marlborough kneeling to Britannia and submitting the plan of the Battle of Blenheim. Its stone carvings cut very deep by Grinling Gibbons, who also carved the sumptuous Corinthian columns and the arms of Queen Anne on the keystone of the main arch. On November 30th, 1874, Lady Randolph Churchill gave birth to Winston Churchill in a small bedroom off the Great Hall, which is today an attraction for visitors to Blenheim. The Grand Saloon has a silver centerpiece of Marlborough on horseback after his victory at Blenheim. The armorial bearing over the doorway of the first Duke, only one of the four marble door cases, was made by Grinling Gibbons. The walls of the first state room are hung with tapestries of Marlborough's battles. Portrait of the ninth Duchess Consuelo over the mantelpiece, and the ornate cradle in which she rocked her two sons. On the desk in the centre is the dispatch sent by Marlborough, scribbled on the back of a tavern bill, to inform his wife of their glorious victory. Hung in the second stateroom are tapestries woven in Brussels of Marlborough's siege of Bouchain. An imposing portrait of the Sun King Louis XIV hangs above the chimney-piece. The third state-room, originally a bedchamber, has ornate French furniture by Boulle. Above the mantelpiece is Marlborough, studying a plan of Bouchain, his military engineer. A massive statue of Queen Anne at one end of the long library by Michael Risbach was commissioned by Duchess Sarah. The long library, originally designed by Vanbrugh as a noble room of parade or picture gallery, 183 feet long and 32 feet high, is considered Nicholas Hawksmoor's finest room at Blenheim Palace, and designed as if it were a sequence of 5 rooms rather than one long one. and was completed after he left the project. Though Blenheim is entirely Van Brugh's design, this room has the stamp of Nicholas Hawksmoor. The present library of 10,000 volumes was collected by the ninth Duke. The superb stoop ceiling was created by Isaac Mansfield, though Sir James Thornhill was to have originally painted the ceiling with allegorical scenes, but the Duchess refused to pay his rates. Portraits of royalty and the dukes hang on the walls, along with costumes, photographs, and memorabilia of the dukes and duchesses. The Willis pipe organ on the north end of the library was installed by the eighth Duke and his American Duchess Lillian in 1891. The organ console was finished in Italy at a cost of £400. The chapel is dominated by the dramatic monument to the first Duke, dressed as a Roman general, and the Duchess and their two sons, who both died young. It was designed by William Kent at a cost of £2,200. As the chapel was incomplete when the Duke died, he was buried in Westminster Abbey and later reinterred here next to the Duchess. We have completed our tour of the palace and now are ready to explore the magnificent gardens of Blenheim.